Hi friends, it's Brittany and Ink and Papyrus and welcome back to my channel. I'm absolutely all about being creative and using up scraps to make really cool things out of them. Today we are making these trifold scrappy notebooks. So grab scraps, fabric and ribbon scraps you may have, paper scraps, any little embellishments you may want to use, and let's get to it. I thought this would be such a cool, easy project. I love making these and I'm absolutely drowning in scraps. So let me just show you the basic concept of this project. These are what I call trifold scrappy notebooks. They are simply a cardstock or something a little bit thicker, folded twice to create 3 different little sections, and each section has paper. You can use regular white paper, you can use decorative paper, we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. You can use vellum, something with different texture, but we are simply layering the papers on top of each other and either securing it with a staple or sewing it. Then we simply fold it back closed. You can decorate each of these little panels or just the front and the back, whatever you would like. And we eventually will just create a very easy closure, and the closure just wraps around, and I've either put beads or charms or something to that effect onto that closure and just tuck it back in on itself, and it sits so pretty. You can mass make these, have these at the ready. They look great in any journal. Let me show you a couple more examples. I'm loving this. So easy, right? This is so easy. I wasn't even going to share this project because, I mean, obviously it's not rocket science. It doesn't take long to figure out at all, but I got so much satisfaction from decorating these, and they look so good in all of, like, I made a huge stash and was putting them in some journals the other day, and I was like, I have to share this because it's so simple, but they're so adorable. And these are so much fun to mass make and have them at the ready. Here's one that I made out of a paper bag, and I love the look of this. My closure here is just a little safety pin on some cording, and these are actually sewed. So if you don't like the staple, which I think it's decorative, I think it kind of makes it look a little bit more handmade, but if you don't like the staple, you can just sew all along the top and sew your papers in, and it seems like they stay pretty well. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 papers. And obviously I didn't have any trouble getting through it. You can obviously decorate the papers inside. Here I kept them more plain, more simple, because I do want to be able to write in these and add things to them later. But I tend to stamp or do something on the first page in each stack. And the possibilities for decorating these are endless. Here is another cute little one. This closure I found really thick. I couldn't really get anything around it, so I just splayed it. I cut it up the middle, and then that way I was able to attach this little cluster of beads. I think it's very, very cute. Here I decorated this one with fabric and some stamped papers that I have. This was actually a jelly print that I printed on a thicker cardstock. Obviously you don't have, the panels don't all have to have the same decoration, but I just like the way that turned out. And I just used more jelly prints. I absolutely love the yellow and the turquoise, and stapled in just a bunch of random pages. They don't have to match, they don't have to correspond. The whole point is to just use up scraps. You can decorate them later after you decide what journal you're putting them into, so it's not a big deal. You can just add whatever you want. And this is the last one I'll be showing you guys. This was just a digital image I had left over. I put a little bit of trim at the top, stamping. I have this little die cut that looked like a folio closure thing, so I thought, oh, we'll do a faux closure, and images from a gardening book I have. So these are book pages, and just regular lined paper and paper bag. So yeah, and just put a little charm here and frayed it a little bit. And that's our closure. All right, so grab whatever scrap papers you have. This is a very simple process. You don't need to measure. Let's get to it. Okay, so I thought this might be nice. This is just a piece of paper that I punched out images after I splashed some watercolor on, just to make it a little bit more interesting, and I never did anything with the rest of this. So we could make this like a little windowed notebook and put some things in those windows. So let me show you. A bone folder really comes in handy, especially if you're working with a thicker paper. We don't have to measure, and as you can see, some of these, they're kind of spot on with the folds, and then some of these, there's like this little recession in between the front cover and this. I don't mind that at all, and I think it looks kind of natural for it to stick out a little bit. So this is why you don't really have to measure, which I'm a huge fan of. So I'm just going to eyeball it. We'll say, okay, that looks to be about, kind of make a little indentation before you fold, and just eyeball it. Make sure this looks to be about the same width as this. This is obviously going to be a little bit wider. If you don't like that this is a lot wider than the two front and back panels, then we'll just fold it in a little bit more. I do like for the middle section to be a little bit wider. I think it looks, I don't know, it looks more natural. We have to make sure this is covered though. The window. Like, I don't want it folded over and only half the window be visible, because I actually want to do something with it. So I'm going to extend my fold just a little bit. Make sure we're straight on. Okay. And then I'm going to make my crease. Okay. And then I'm just going to fold over just like this. Okay, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap or recession in between the front cover and the rest of the notebook. I'm fine with that. Okay. So now we're going to figure out, and actually I glued these together, so I'm just going to get my glue out and finish this. So I don't think putting plastic in the little windows is really going to work without a whole lot of fuss. I probably have to open this back up all the way and feed the plastic in, or else it's just going to be plastic on the inside here, and I didn't really want that, and I didn't really want to add a whole lot of bulk to these. So I decided to pull out my pre-stamped ephemera, and I have these postage stamps, and I think just putting different postage stamps in the little windows would look really cool. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I have 3 of them. So I'm trying to decide what would look better in the front. I like this classified, and I think it gives really nice contrast because it's all on this like just crisp white paper. I think that looks really nice. So I'm just gonna cut these, and we are just gonna pop these in the window. I just have this ever ballooning pile of scraps, and I keep saying I need to do stuff with them, and I can't figure out, I keep coming up with all these new projects and just making more scraps, and I'm like, I really gotta buckle down and do something. Like, now I have a second drawer full of scraps, or second box, and they're stacked on each other, and now it's like reached the table part of my desk. So I'm like, okay, well, this is taller than my desk, so this isn't gonna work anymore. All right, so we have our little stamp in there. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. We'll doll something up. We'll figure something out to do with that. Okay. All right. That in there like this. All right, and let's put our other stamp in there. I love this bag of pre-stamped ephemera. It serves me so well. It's such an ordeal getting out your stamp pads And so when you have a whole bag, you just tend to use it more often. And I never put it away because honestly I seem to be able to use it regardless of like the projects I'm working on. And that is a great way to use up your scraps. Just sit there, or liven them up at least. It's just sit there with your stamps and just go through your scrap pile and start stamping that, and like spraying oxide on them and just livening them up. If you put them in a box, you can spray them with oxide sprays, put them like flick off some gesso from a brush. Obviously a box, like an Amazon box or something you're planning on throwing away anyways, and that can really help liven up boring scraps. FYI, that's what I like to do. Alright, so we have our 2 stamps, or 3 stamps. I like that. Okay. And if we don't like the way that white looks, we can just easily, let's make a pocket. Some of this stuff might be too busy, but I have this calendar paper we can easily make a pocket out of. So you don't have to measure, but what I do like to do is just come in here with a pencil and let's say, okay, it can't be any longer than this, and or any wider than this, and we don't want it to be any longer than this. Okay, and so then what we'll do is make our pocket. All right, cut like this. Now I usually use my paper cutter to be like a little bit more precise about it. It just helps me keep really nice even lines. It's hard to kind of, well, I have it sitting right next to me. It's just hard with the video camera, but that's a good way to do it. And see, we just made our 2 lines. We don't have to measure, and that's exactly what we're going to do to figure out the correct width of the papers that we put in here. And remember, we're not gluing our last page down. They are all flip ups. See? So you can put pockets in here, no problem. It shouldn't interfere with anything. And it's a very simple project. You know, the construction of it is as easy as it gets. So you can focus your efforts on just kind of decorating this and making it your own, which is honestly my favorite kind of projects. I'm just gonna try this on for size. I'm gonna want a pocket up there. We're gonna have to trim a little off. So we'll just come in there. See? I don't know if you can see the line we scored, but the pocket, this paper was definitely over that line. So we're just gonna trim that down. If you want, we could ink this up a little bit. We could put our pocket, it makes a little bit more sense to have that up. I'm really liking this. See? It's a little bit eclectic, but it's a great way to use up all different kinds and sizes of scraps. Okay. Perfect. So we have our pockets. We could do some faux sewing around the pockets just to kind of signify that it's a pocket. I got these outline drawing markers that I really like. I'm testing them out. I got them on AliExpress. I just got them. So let's do this. And we're just going to signify that it's separate from the rest of the little notebook, and that you're supposed to look here and do something with it. And I think this is a great way for those of you who give away journals or sell ephemera. I think these scrappy little notebooks are a perfect way to include extra ephemera pieces that you may be giving away with the journal for the recipient to do something with. and I'll show you in a second. I was working on, I didn't finish, but I was working on some of these that are a little bit larger. The concept is the exact same, and you can put these in the journal and make them larger. Obviously, you have more ephemera that you want to include in it. So I have our little pockets here. Okay. These are some other little ones I was working on. This is a just painted book page. This I used some random die cuts. I thought that looked like a really cute closure, and was just gonna sew in the little fabric in here. A little key. This is that planner paper I had left over. So all different kinds of shape sizes. This is gessoed brown paper. Obviously this is a little bit larger one. You can make whatever size you would like. I was thinking about making some larger ones as well with this leftover paper bag I have. So you can really make them any size you want. All right. So now's the fun part. So right now we're just going to create a little bit of a template for the papers that we're going to put down. So I saw these, I really like these, kind of garden themed. What I like to do is, again, kind of just like we did with the pocket, we're gonna make a template for each of these. We don't have to measure, just make sure we're within the scoring lines. Okay, and then if you really want to keep it kind of precise, then just grab your paper cutter. This is a way to keep it easy and simple and really not have to do any measuring at all. Oh, but I'm gonna cut off mint. I don't want to cut off mint. All right, so I'm gonna make this a little bit shorter. So we'll use poppy seeds for one, and these are really cute. I think I'm gonna make these the top page. So let's get our little thingamajig. Yeah, and actually I don't mind that at all. It's shorter than I expected, but you can easily see the bottom portion on the pocket there, which I like. Okay, we only have to do this like once. So this is gonna be our template to cut down all the other papers with. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna dig through the little stacks of paper here, and it's probably easiest to do this one section at a time. And you can use ripped edges that kind of hang down. So I am just going to gather some additional papers, and you can see why this helps bust through scraps so quickly. I'm just gonna bust through some additional papers. These just make my heart happy. We're busting through scraps, and we have adorable notebooks to show for it. it's like responsible crafting. We are using our scraps for good. I'm just saying. Okay, you can totally sew these. I do like sewing some of them. I'm just gonna show you the staple version here. And I may have not planned this well because, see, maybe I could fold this little tab back, or else I'm going to be stapling that little pocket shut. So we'll have to be careful when we do that. If you forget, you can always look back and verify the order. Here, here, and then that bronzed pigment paper. Then the torn green sheet, though that one doesn't hang down, it's okay. And then the brown. The only thing you have to do is make sure you keep within the lines of that we already scored to make sure your notebook freely opens and closes. Gonna do our stapling. Okay. And we're gonna peel that back. And then make sure I staple close to the top. See if we can avoid that little flapper. We did it! And actually, it's gonna kind of be in the way. So I think I'm just going to glue that part down. It's a little flappy pocket. Okay, that works. Little flappy pocket, so simple. So simple, but I love these so much. Okay, really, really cute, right? They're little postage stamps. Like I said, if you don't like the look of that staple, well, obviously then don't staple, just sew. I'm fine with them on the inside. I don't like the outside look of the staple. It looks misplaced to me. So I usually just like to grab my fabric scraps, which I conveniently have on my desk here, and we're just gonna cover it up with some little fabric. The question is, what kind of fabric do we want to use? We could use trim, we could use lace, we can use whatever we want. I don't think that looks half bad. This gray is kind of pretty, maybe a little too thick. The point of these is to be able to put them in the notebook or put them in journals and not add a whole lot of bulk. What about this green? This came from an old shirt I cut up. What if we... It's a little transparent. It's not gonna completely cover up the staple, but it'll mute it a little bit. I like that. These little pruning shears have seen better days, I'll tell you that. Seen better days. Alright, watch now. My glue that's been spewing for the last 20 minutes isn't going to come out at all, and I know I just need to bite the bullet and put my glue in a piping bottle. I know. Why do I make myself suffer like this? I don't know. Cover the window up a little bit. That's okay. See, I really need to get a piping bottle. I don't mind if it sticks off the top a little bit like that. I actually kind of like that. Kind of like that. I'll have to dry. I like that. I like the green. It's kind of messy, but it's, I like it. Just gonna trim that little piece. Wow, nothing is working today. Okay. I kind of like that classified. It's like top secret stuff in here. Okay. Okay, so I thought these stamps looked really cool. And let's figure out what to put on this. Okay, so here's our product. This is really funny. This completely evolved from what I thought this would be. It's like some travel themed little folio. I don't know. I like am absolutely loving it. And of course we can doll these pages up. I'm going to do that off camera, do a little bit more to this, but as you can see, you can make these as simple or as complicated and complex as you would like. So let's go ahead and add our closure. So I was thinking of adding this string as the closure, and that would look really, really good. However, I found these paper bag straps and I think this would look baller on this little folio right here. Okay, so you can simply sew or staple your closure. Just a word to the wise, regardless of what you do, make sure before you do it that these pages are folded up just like this, or else you're going to staple or sew your pages to the notebook itself. So you want to run it through the sewing machine or staple it just like this. Okay, so you can either sew the closure on the inside or the outside of the notebook. Just make sure that there's enough grip, enough of it is secure so that it doesn't pop off, and make sure it's long enough that you're able to wrap it around the notebook at least a few times. I prefer the zigzag stitch. I think it secures it better. So I actually ran mine through my sewing machine twice just for extra security. You can do the same. My closure is a little bit meatier and weighs more than that little ribbon I was showing you earlier, so I think running it through a couple of times is probably a good idea. Now I also have a little bit of an added challenge, because normally I've been adding beads or little charms to the end of the closures so that it easily tucks in and I can secure it, but obviously this is a little bit too meaty for that. So, but you know, there's always a creative workaround or solution. I was thinking, what if we punch a hole in here, set an eyelet, and then we can actually tie a ribbon or something around it, give it a pretty little bow. And I think that's probably a good option. The other thing I was thinking about is maybe securing a paper clip through here or a really large safety pin, but I wasn't really digging the look of that. So we are gonna set ourselves an eyelet. I'm just gonna punch a hole. See how cute that is? We have our little eyelet here. Oh, that looks really cute. I really like this. I want this to work. But what am I gonna tie it to? Looks like a little button. Maybe I should set another eyelet here and tie the string around and then wrap it around the button. That's what I'm gonna do. So let's mark where our good placement would be. Right there. All right, oh, this is gonna be darling. So glad I thought of this. And honestly, I only did because it was sitting right on my desk. All right. Okay, that's set really easily. Oh, this is really cute. Oh, I love this. All right, question is this gonna be too thick? Will it fit in the groove of that little button? No, I'm gonna get some thinner cording. I actually have some black cording sitting right here. Figure out the best way to do this. You tie a knot here. Let's see. It's way too thin. Like, I'm never gonna be able to tie a knot that doesn't come through the thing. And I don't really mind the look of the cording coming over the paper bag strap. If you wanted, I guess you could tie a little knot, and to keep it from pulling through, maybe put some hot glue gun on the back, or hot glue on the back rather. That's an idea. Let's see, let's tie this off. For this button thing. And these are just paper bag scraps I have left over from a paper bag, those paper bag projects that I made, and I can link that video above and in the description box if you're interested. That is adorable. I absolutely love this. I'm so sad that I got this from the thrift store, so it was an assortment. There's only one of these because this is so adorable. I think I would make a ton of these just with these little button closures. And I am thrilled with how this eclectic, junky little notebook came out. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy making some of your own trifold scrappy notebooks. They're so easy to mass make, to have at the ready, to throw in a journal of any and everything you're working on. So if you found value in this and want to see more of Ink and Papyrus, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you the next time.